Hey people, let me get y'all a Satan Claus Christmas special here. And this is going to be fast because this guy already did all the work for me. A Grace Life Bible. And I guess this showed up on his Facebook and he was wanting to disprove it. But yeah, Christmas was illegal in the U.S. until 1836 in places. It was considered an ancient pagan holiday. And so he gives all the information. He finds all the books. You'll find all his links down below here. And he pulls up all the information, but he just doesn't get it. This is legit public notice from Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1659 for the preventing of disorders arising in several places within this jurisdiction by reason for some still observing such festivals as were superstitiously kept in other communities, to the great dishonor of God and offense of others. It is therefore ordered by this court and the authority thereof, that whosoever shall be found observing any such day as Christmas or the like, either by forbearing labor, festing, or any other way upon any such account as aforesaid, every such person so offending shall pay for every such offense 5 shillings as a fine to the county. And so either by forbearing labor, is to abstain from, refrain. Hey, and you some of bitches ain't going to work today, you all got to pay 5 shillings. Any such day as Christmas or the like, either by forbearing labor, feasting, or any other way, upon any such account as aforesaid, every such person so offending shall pay. So one nation under God, means something totally different than what you think. Because the celebration of Christmas is a great dishonor of God and offense to others. And this other notice says the observation of Christmas having been deemed a sacrilege, the exchange of gifts and greetings, dressing in fine clothing, feasting, and similar satanical practices are hereby forbidden. So it was the Puritans that were banning Christmas. And he found this in the Journal of William Bradford. And it says, on the day called Christmas Day, the governor called him out to work, as was used to. But the most of this new company excused themselves and said it went against their consciences to work on that day. So the governor told them if they made it a matter of conscience, he would spare them till they were better informed. All right, well, we're going to better inform you on this. But he led the rest of them to work. When he come back from work, he found them playing in the street openly, some pitching the bar and some at stool ball and such like sports. So I imagine pitching the bar and stool ball was an ancient sport to work on hand-eye coordination and get ready for battle. And you see it in this word, that whosoever, that's a combination of 2 biblical names. Whoso, that comes from Jesus, and ye so, and Abraham. So the governor went and took their bat and balls and dreidels and whatever they playing with, and said it went against his conscience, that they should play while others work. And so if this is what they must celebrate, keep it in your house, not to be seen in public. And then he pulls up this paperwork that come from a sermon from one of these ancient Puritan preachers. And this preacher says that the Christmas holidays were at first invented and instituted in compliance with the pagan festivals of old observed on that very time of the year. And then goes to explain that, according to the King James Version, the Christ nativity couldn't possibly been at that time. And so Christ, is the rise. And the nativity is that where all the stars and planets are sitting, where the sun's sitting at that time. The rise at that time is what it means. And according to other details in King James Version, that they were out tending the flocks, there's no way, because it would have been too cold at that time. And so it appears, I'm sure that these Puritans, purebloods, a Puritan, I'm sure that they could read the Hebrew and the Greek, but they were in compliance with this new King James Version to take control over the people again. Then he finds another writer here that wrote about it, and he said that Yule logs and candles are pagan, and they're designed to light up the house, and they're just as pagan as you turning your lights on at night. But what was going on, they try to work everybody to death, and they know if there's lights on during the night, it means that people are planning something. And I'll leave the link, and I hope y'all come watch this after you hear me here, and you'll better understand it. But a lot of this, what he's reading, is too small. I can't see it. But he's talking about during their celebrations, they're caroling. And caroling is a big problem because back in the day, caroling was going up to the rich people's house and insisting that they give you a bottle of wine to sing them a song. It was a rebellion against the rich people, the hierarchy, and the government. And that's what this Christmas means. Anytime they put something in all block style capitals, that means that word reads backwards. Submits the rich. This CH was an X. It was a CH in either direction. And this was the observation of submits the rich. So the Puritans knew about the power in this day. And when they took over Parliament in 1644, they waited till Christmas Day, December 25th, to start sessions on banning Christmas. And so they writ up this ordinance for abolishing festivals. And what they come up with is that the said feasts of the Nativity of Christ, Easter, and Whitsuntide, and all other festival days, commonly called holy days, be no longer observed as festivals or holy days within the Kingdom of England. And so what that tells me is the Puritans were the ones that were in power when the first rising come, the Jesus Christ, the ye so which rise to. And that's what this ancient image meant. It meant ye so which rise to, this is where you're going to be. Ye so which rise to when the talking ought of. And so this isn't really talking, this is doling, and this is some proof that when a K comes before E, it comes a L. The doling, what you've been dealt, the gave. And this was a wake all up, says, ye so which rise to when the doling ought of. This is what you get. And you can see it here, the pagans, they were saying Thursday, Thor's day. But the purebloods were still worshiping Jovis as Jupiter. And so they were having some problems here. They didn't know if they should celebrate because their fast, they did celebrate fast, anything to cut back the fat, starve the people. And being it worked out with the moon, it just so happened to fall on this 25th. And so they didn't know if they wanted to celebrate that. And so he does a real good job of finding all the information, but he does a really poor job to comprehend it. He's not understanding that there was no hunting in England. Everything in the forest belonged to the king. And that's what people were rebelling against. And it started way back in the time of Saturnalia. Saturnalia was like a Mardi Gras. Several days that they changed places and the people become the hierarchy. But if you should slip up one day after celebration and you still drunk and you run your mouth in the wrong place, you got rised up. These celebrations were used throughout the year, give the people a couple of days to get drunk and act stupid in hopes that someone would slip up and go one day long, and then you had slave labor. So there was over 70 years, a whole generation from the time that began to localize bans until it got naturalized again. And so you had a generation there that lost it, That's all it takes to change a language. And they wrote them new hymns, Instead of this being like Halloween where people come terrorize you till you pay them to leave, they wrote them all new songs. So the people that were celebrating this rebellion, they were off in the cities. The people that went out west, they didn't have this problem, and so it was celebrated different. And so what you got is an ancient day of celebration of the rebellion. What became this tradition of gift giving was ancient times. You was out there taking gifts. You was out there at the rich people's house insisting they give you something. So the Puritan bank branched out into a study of the sociology of deviance, got everybody credit cards and invented Coca-Cola, and killed 3 birds with 1 stone. They got their slaves back, the people got what they wanted, and quashed the idea that people would ever figure out what ye sow which rise to means. So this would spare them till they were better informed. It makes me think these are lizard people. They live forever. It took them 70 years to inform them correctly the way they wanted them informed. So they're either directing their reincarnation or they're lizard people living forever. And you see a lot of these rulers throughout history that do things that know they're not going to profit them only if they live 400 years. So somebody holler at me if I forget to leave this link down here below. It's an hour-long movie. But I tell you now, you just go ahead and cancel out the last 15 minutes of it, 20 minutes of it. He doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. So I had to give it a thumbs up. It was very educational, although he didn't indoctrinate me like he did the other 40 thumbs up. And that's what you see here, is the Burgermeister. He represents the Puritans. They didn't want nothing flashy going on. And there actually was a law that said there was no toys, no gift giving, until Coca-Cola come and saved the day. And Jesus Christ isn't a person. Ye so which rise to is the time that all the people had rose up. And so, Santa Claus, that's not Saint Nick. That's the sleeping clause. I would have been asleep. I Santa Claus. And a clause is stipulation of a contract. And so they get away with this shit just as long as you're sleeping. But I ain't never celebrated Christmas. And I damn sure will when people figure out, what it really means. But, it was the abolishment of slavery back in the day when the people finally fought back and won. And that's what was being celebrated. And now it's just the opposite. They're using Christmas to create slaves again. A lot of people work all year long to pay off their credit card bills from last Christmas. Get it all paid off and redo it again. We'll cut this off here. Good day.